That buzzing, beeping noise? I'm in reverse. Welcome to the rest of my life. I'm Lance Ash, heading back to work in a downpour, relatively speaking. Speaking of which, the ceiling in my son's room is leaking around the smoke detector alarm thing. So, another chore has been added to the list. Another potential worry. Try not to worry. Alright. Oh dear. Okay, let's see what we got here. First item of business, as usual. What do I have in the bag? Alright. First of all, get the traffic here. That's right. Ride around in the rain with your lights off, because you're macho. First off, Pete Townshend's solo record, Empty Glass. Fantastic. Next, Pete Townshend's solo album, All the Best Cowboys Have Chinese Eyes. Not that great of a record. Next, the Rollins Band Wait album, which is really, really heavy. Next, Genesis Invisible Touch, which I used to hate because I thought it was just ultra pop, dated pop, but it's actually a pretty good record. Next, Neil Young, Tonight's the Night. Next, this is disc 2 of the Ninja Tune Records 10th anniversary compilation. Next, Igor Stravinsky Firebird Suite, which I got out because I heard part of it on a TV show and it reminded me, I just don't listen to orchestral music like I used to. And, the new Rammstein album, Zeit. Also, Miles Davis's Tutu album. That's the record that supposedly Prince submitted a song. Miles Davis wanted to collaborate with Prince or something, and Prince submitted a song. But when he heard the rest of the record, or rest of what was going to go on the record, he didn't feel it fitted in or something. And that's it. All right, now. A lot of topics today. All right. Number one, for some reason, a couple of days ago, I got to thinking about the old Saturday morning TV show, Electro Woman and Dyna Girl. And so I looked it up, and I didn't realize that those episodes were only 12 minutes long. I kind of could remember or conceive that it was part of some larger Sid and Marty Krofft, hour-long spectacular with a lot of different little segments in it. I think I could probably imagine that. But I looked up one of the episodes, and the theme song, I remember my sister singing the theme song when we were little. And I watched a little piece of one of the episodes, and it is just so god-awful terrible. It's that videotape look, and everything is just over the top. Oh my God. Deidre Hall, who played Electro Woman, she was later a big soap opera star. I can't remember what show she was on. Probably Days of Our Lives. That was the big one. something related to that. I have written down here TV watching. I don't know what that means. Oh, I know what that means. I'll get to that in a second. Before I do, though, now I've lost the thread of it again. Oh, there is a TV movie that I saw. It turns out it was a couple of days before it came out. A couple of days before I turned 5, and I've remembered it all these years. And I've been trying to find it, and I finally found it. But the star was not who I thought it was. The star was Paul Sorvino. And it was about this guy. All I remember of it was this guy. The name of the movie is It Couldn't Happen to a Nicer Guy. And this dude, his car breaks down in the rain or something, and this woman picks him up. And she forces him at gunpoint to take his clothes off. Apparently she rapes him. And then she leaves him on the side of the road naked. And when people find him, he's standing there holding a street sign up in front of his privates to cover his shame. And nobody will believe him, because nobody will believe a man can get raped by a woman. And it turns out the woman who did the raping was the actress who played Isis, which was another horrible Saturday morning TV show back in the 70s. She was really pretty. Anyway, I found it, but I still don't. Who I thought was the actor, I don't know his name. I just know what he looked like. He was a character actor that was very prevalent in the 70s. He looked a little bit like James Coco, a little bit like Paul Sorvino, a little bit like, oh God, what was that guy's name? Avery Schreiber, but without the mustache. He was in that ballpark. All right. Now, I want to mention something about television watching when I was a kid. Just to give you an example of television watching at its worst. I believe it was Thursday nights that you had the big lineup. Now, you get off the bus, or you get home about, 4 maybe? And there would be cartoons on TV. So you'd watch cartoons, maybe an hour. They used to have Tom and Jerry cartoons, or can't remember what else. But anyway, you'd mess around. You wouldn't do any homework. I mean, when my mother would get home, she would start dinner, and we'd eat. Anyway, you'd have local news from 6 to 7. I'd probably watch that. Then at 7, you'd have national news. That would last till 7:30. I may be getting a little bit mixed up. But anyway, 7:30, there'll be a syndicated show. Usually the big one was PM Magazine, which was like this syndicated package that they would sell to local affiliates across the country. And they would have little quirky human interest stories. You know, some guys, carving a boat out of styrofoam or something. It's something stupid. Then at 8 o'clock began prime time. Now on Thursday nights on CBS, I believe the first one, starting at 8, was The Incredible Hulk. Then at 9, you'd have The Dukes of Hazzard. And then at 10, you'd have Dallas. So you're talking about 1, 2, 3, maybe 5 or 6 hours of television watching as a child. And my parents would be baffled when I'd come home with a bad report card. And that was just that one night. That was the big night when they had 3 solid hours of watchable television in a row on prime time. The other nights would be just maybe 2, because there were a lot of shows I had no interest in. Television was a totally different thing than it is today, obviously. But related to that, I want to tell you, like I've said many times before, I used to go to this insane Christian private school, and a lot of the kids that went there were the products of lunatic Christian households. And there was this one kid I've mentioned before whose parents were just, I mean, they put the screws to him. They fucked him up bad mentally. But I'm at school one day, and my recollection is that this happened in the lunchroom. I was talking to him about something, and it just happened to pop up that I'd seen Dallas, like the most recent episode or something. And he stopped me short, and he said, "Your parents let you watch Dallas?" And it just baffled me that, because, you know, he probably had never seen it. He probably only heard what his parents told him, you know, and I just wondered, what did they actually allow him to watch? Oh, all that wasted time watching television back then. All that horrible crap. You know, I tell you, when I got into reading big time, that saved me, because it curtailed a lot of that television watching, because I just didn't have time. And, you know, the stuff I read was crap. Edgar Rice Burroughs and Robert E. Howard. But, you know, it did get me out of television. Of course, around the same time, I discovered late night, you know, Johnny Carson and David Letterman and other stuff that was at late night. There was I think it coincided with the writer's strike, one of the many writer's strikes in Hollywood. And so I think Letterman and Carson were off the air for a while because some kind of union dispute. But to fill the gap, they brought in reruns of SCTV, which was a revelation. And they had other quirky stuff late at night. All right, next on the list. What does that say? Oh, okay. All right. There's a woman at work that I don't know if we could actually be called friends. Friendly-ish. And I got into a big argument 2 weeks ago, maybe more than 2 weeks ago, with some people, and they were arguing about my not doing certain things, and it was ludicrous when you compare what all I do, all the initiative I take, and they're saying, well, none of that matters unless you do this extra little shit thing over here on the side. And it pissed me off. Now, the woman I'm talking about wasn't involved with this. She is my counterpart on the other half of the operation. And I got pissed off in the middle of this argument, and I said something about her not doing certain things. And I said, would it be all right if I did like so-and-so and avoided blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I knew that this was going to get back to her. So the next day, I thought, well, I'll intercept any problems, and I'll just confess. And I bought her a bag of candy, and I told her what happened, and offered her the candy. She wanted nothing to do. She rejected my goodwill gesture, and she has basically been cold to me for the last 2 weeks. I'm going to make another overture tomorrow when she gets to work, but I just don't know. And it just bothers me. I really should let it go, but I just don't know. I can't stand to have ill will, hard feelings, especially between somebody that I like. I mean, I like this woman. And I kind of wish we could be better friends, but her personality is such that she's very abrasive. And I just don't think that will ever happen, but at least not have this negative barrier between us. It just irks me. I don't know. I really should just drop it. Oh, Lord. Okay. Let's check and see how much time I got left. Okay. Had a 3-day weekend. So, got a little bit of work done. I'm trying to think anything else relevant. My sister's living for the moment. She's living with my mother next door, and her boyfriend came to visit for the weekend, and she wanted me to meet him, but I just don't. My schedule is such it didn't work out, and it might be able to meet him in the morning or tomorrow. I just don't know if that's going to happen or not. My working the night shift really puts me at odds with the rest of the world. You know, I think we have time for me to go over a little topic. As I've said before, when I'm painting, I basically listen to nothing but YouTube. And it's always hard for me to find something interesting to listen to. And I love listening to negative movie reviews because I hate assembly line, cookie cutter Hollywood blockbusters. And I hate big business in usual. So anybody who's willing to just tear big business down and tear the products of big business down in an amusing way or in a savage way, I find that enjoyable. The problem is, a lot of the channels that are devoted to this, they'll throw in a little anti-feminism with a lot of this stuff. And they do it in this really hateful, dismissive way. And as much as I enjoy a lot of these particular reviewers, and I'll just go ahead and name them. Nerdrotic is one, Critical Drinker is another. There was another couple of them, but anyway, so I basically stopped watching these people just because it just irritates me. Critical Drinker will throw in stuff about just glancing references to Nancy Pelosi or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. He lives in Scotland. He's a Scottish citizen, but somehow he knows that these are buzzwords that will get a reaction from his core audience. And it's just stupid. Anyway, and having said that, I sort of agree with some of the stuff he says, but not for exactly the same reasons. I do think that there's a trend of lazy filmmaking in Hollywood where they think, well, we'll just throw in a little extra female representation in the story, and that will paste over the cracks in our shoddy plot. There's a little bit of that, yeah, but it doesn't mean that the effort itself is illegitimate. Besides, and here's another thing, it just irks me that these people that are really hardcore comic book fans and superhero fans and Star Wars fans, they actually have come to believe that they are the lifeblood of the whole thing, and that therefore they have a legitimate, almost legal right to have their viewpoints made known and manifested. So that, but they don't. They don't have a legal right to any of this. And if big business wants to do whatever, they're going to do whatever. And they're going to make changes based on what they think will piss off the least number of fans. Clearly, they're doing something right because they're raking in billions of dollars. But more than that, I don't give a shit. I really don't give a shit if, what's her name, Rey, in the first of the new Star Wars movies, demonstrates amazing skill without having earned it or gone through proper training. I don't give a shit. But I do hate this casual anti-feminism, anti-woke. Anyway, the point is, so I stumbled across a channel that takes a lot of these people to task, and I was just delighted to the name of the channel is Organized Chaos, and I was delighted to discover this. Trying to think. Anyway, he was playing examples of a lot of these channels' videos and critiquing them, and I thought it was interesting. I would like to see a lot more straight movie review coverage. And that brings up another thing. You know, I used to watch Ralph the Movie Maker a lot because he's not anti-feminist or anti-diversity or anti-gay representation or whatever. But he does take these blockbuster movies to task for being shoddily made or indifferently made. But the fact is that really COVID dealt a big blow to Hollywood, and there's just not that many I don't know. I just think there's the sheer quantity of movies to make fun of has gone down. Maybe I'm wrong. I've never been a big theater goer, cinema goer. I don't know. I just don't give a shit about any of this stuff. But it is fun to hear them made fun of. All right, let's check the time. I guess we're right at the normal time I'd cut off. Sorry for rambling so much, but that basically is the show. I just have a list of things to go over, and that's it. There's no central theme or anything. Oh my God, I am so out of it. Before we go, a little bit of insight I had over the weekend. A distinction needs to be made, and I'm not preaching, I'm just saying this is for me. A distinction needs to be made between the external and the internal. That is to say that I can, to a certain degree, achieve a level of self-mastery over my mind, over my emotions. I can maintain, or I can achieve a certain level of inner peace, and I can maintain that through certain meditative practices, certain procedures. But I can't achieve more than a limited amount of control over external stuff. Problems at work, ceiling leaking at home, people not acting the way I want them to, national political movements. Those things are beyond my control to a great degree. I have limited control over problems I have at work, chores I have to deal with. And that distinction has to be made, and I have to focus, in order to deal with, to the extent that I can, deal with the external shit, I have to maintain the internal processes that give me peace of mind and emotional control and focused thinking. And that's my new goal, new focus. And I think I've made this insight, or achieved this insight, and begin to make this distinction because I have been working on these procedures for the last couple months, really. That is to say, when I'm at work, I'm going through a meditative I'm not meditating, but I'm just watching my breath, watching my breathing, maintaining mental control, and that's all I wanted to say. So, I've also been meditating in the car to the limited extent that you can. You can't really say that you've been meditating. But, anyway. Alright. So I guess that's about it. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.